All right, guys, I'm gonna short track too, but I guess anytime you come off a week with 2 conference wins, it's a good thing, you know, and it really was for us. I was disappointed in our performance, but I went back and looked at a lot of things, both on that game and throughout the years, and it is what it is. I mean, we have to get better. We talked a lot with a group the next day about what the next couple of days are going to be like and what the next couple of weeks are going to be like. I told you 3 weeks ago that our schedule ends about as tough as anybody's. We have 2 big road games this week, so it starts, and obviously it starts with Purdue, one of the best teams, not only in the league but in the country. And winning on the road there is one of the more difficult places to play. I think Mackey Arena is amongst one of the toughest we play in, conference or non-conference. And I think this is a really experienced Purdue team. You know, they've got 3 guys in Smith, Lawyer, and Kopp and Wren that it seemed like they've been there forever. Smith is one of the premier players in the whole country. He's been up for Player of the Year. Everything he's gotten has been deserved. He's broken assist records. He's ranked nationally in a lot of things. He can score it. He can get steals. He can pass it. He can do it all. And Lawyer is one of the better shooters in our league. He's been that way for 4 years. And I think Kopp and Wren has improved his game each year, and now he's becoming more dominant in that low post. And then when you get away from those guys, they have tremendous size. And Clough, the kid they got at 6'11", 260 or 70. And now they're starting to play this kid Danielson. It seems like Matt always has a 7'2", 3 or 4 guy. And he's got one that's getting better every week I watch him. And so we know we're gonna have our hands full. We're gonna have to improve in a couple areas. I hope to keep improving with our turnovers, which getting a little better. Our defense and our post defense will be challenged at the highest level this week. And yet what a great opportunity at the end of the year, kind of see where you are as you move into tournament time. Questions?
I'm wondering about what you said earlier. You get the wins at this time of the year. How much did you guys go back and look and digest that film, looking backward versus looking forward?
Yeah, I think a lot more looking forward, to be honest with you. You know, you kind of realize that we've been kind of spoiled, myself this year, because we've played a lot of pretty good games, you know. Yes, we've been a little up and down in some of these games lately, but in the biggest games, we've almost played our best. And so, got to realize that this time of year, there's other teams that are hungry and playing for their playoff lives. And I think Ohio State was one of them. You know, Indiana could, you know, who knows what happens here in the next 3-4 days, or in the next 3-4 games. I think other than Illinois right now, it seems that Michigan has that thing pretty locked up. As far as the championship, Illinois has a shot because they play them and they have 1 less loss than everybody else. But there's still so many big games left. There's losses out there. So we're looking at what's going to get us better in the next 2 weeks, and watching that game and what we did. I thought our defense on him was not very good. I thought our bigs did not do as good a job of stepping up. So that was the point of emphasis yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We have to do a better job getting better in that area.
Tom, you used to get these sort of games all the time where you've seen a guy for 4 years, and you know, obviously you had that with Thornton the other day. I wonder, when you have a sense of, like, matchup-wise, how a lot of your guys look against a lot of their guys, how that changes prep and your feel for a game like this versus some other ones?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, since we switched some 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and 5, it's never, and a lot of teams are switching 4 and 5 guys now. So it's never really the matchup that you would think it is, because there's so many different people moving and going and switching and everything. But I just know that this morning I watched our game last year, and you know, they played pretty well. We played really well. But the difference was I thought we were really flying around, and we knocked. I think Smith had 6 turnovers, you know, and a lot of that maybe it was him, but a lot of it I think was us getting loose balls, knocking balls loose. Our bigs did a good job coming up, and so I don't think the individual matchup is quite as important as the team matchup.
Matt, Tom, I was wondering about Mackey. You talked about being one of the hardest places to play. I guess what makes it so difficult, and over all your experience there?
Yeah, you know, well, I mean, they've got a good home court advantage like we do. Their student group. Mackey is the same size as Michigan State, but being 99% bleachers, everything's a little closer. And I think the biggest thing about playing down there, they've been good just about 99% of the time I've been here, whether it be as an assistant or as a head coach. Great tribute to Gene Cady, who I'm supposed to see on Friday, and a great Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and a tribute to Matt. You know, he's continued it on, but their crowd is great. Basketball in Indiana is basketball in Indiana. Their student section is awesome, but I think part of it too is the size of it and the way the arena is and the bleachers, and I think part of it, a big part of it, is the teams they've had. They've always been good. When they're not good, which was only a few times, they're always competitive. So yeah, it's a tough place to play.
2 questions for you. One's building off that. I was talking to Gary Harris the other day, and he mentioned it's a shooter's gym. It's not hard to win at Mackey. A lot of teams would disagree with that, but I wonder how much of this has to do with the way that Matt Penny's built that program and year over year sort of improved not necessarily the caliber of guys, but just building his vision, if you will, as a coach.
Yeah, he's done I mean, you know, Gene had some great teams there too, and great players, but Matt's done it a different way. Gene had those big guys that were strong. Now Clough is one of them, but Matt has these big guys that are 4 inches taller than Gene's guys, and then still can play. And yet the strength of their team still may be their guard play. You know, when Smith, he started for I think 4 years, and some of the records he's created. I mean, we're kind of lucky when you see these guys been here for 4 years that play like they play. I mean, you know, it was. Thornton was, if you didn't have to coach against him, you'd love watching him play. You'd love to see what he's done. And I guess because I've been in the league so long, I have a great appreciation for those guys that stay and have success 4 straight years. It's hard to do that. So I'd say that Matt is putting his own stamp on the program, but there's a lot of Gene in it. You know, just like I put my own stamp on this program. The way we do things and how I mean, every one of us has a mentor, and you don't forget where you came from.
Building off that too, you talk about mentorship, Mark Montgomery and what he's done at Detroit Mercy. It seems like they rounded the corner a little bit. Is that nice for you to see one of your proteges?
It is. I'm happy for Monty. He's starting to win some big games, and you know, we were watching the game when he won one at the buzzer. It was on TV the night before we played. We were on the road and the whole team was watching it, and that was pretty cool. You know, it is fun to see your guys do well, and I pull for all of them, you know, and we'll see what happens here in the near future, but Monty's doing a good job down there, and I'm happy for him.
I guess you were going to have a team meeting Sunday night. Did that happen? And anything come out of it that you?
No, I didn't say I was gonna. The players were gonna have one, and yes, they did. And I don't know what came out of it. That's the beauty of it. You know, I shouldn't know what came out of it. That's between them. But I gave them some bullet points on things that I think they had to talk about. And, you know, it really wasn't. It was just disappointing for me to be at home. A nationally televised game. It would seem like a big game, and but you know, I think when what's his name got hurt, I think players are human too. You know, they look at things and they see things and let their guard down a little bit. And I also think, I told you Ohio State. I mean, Thornton couldn't have played better. He played really well. You got to give him some credit for that. So you know, it's moved forward. We played. What have we played? 27 games, and we played probably 20 two pretty damn good games, you know, and we've had some slip-ups, but if I look back on other years, we've had some slip-ups where we lost more games. We're 22-5 and got a lot of positive things to build on. I just wanna, when you get to the point, you know, you need to be getting better at the end of the year, and that's what I'm harping on.
Going back to Judd and Gene, and you and Matt, and you and Gene to a certain degree, I'm just wondering, it's a rare respect between schools in this rivalry. I'm wondering how it affects these games, if at all, if that makes any sense.
You know, the best thing I can say, it's very respectful, you know. I said, you know, I came up, it was Katie Knight, Clem Haskins. I mean, those weren't basketball games, those were wars. And, but they were good and they were very respectful. I mean, everybody kind of appreciated. I still appreciate what Gene did there. I still stay in touch with Gene when I can. He was a great mentor to me too when Judd left, you know, because Judd was here and then he bolted, man. He went out to Spokane, you know, and so I was left with Gene and Judd and Clem my first couple of years. But because those guys were such good friends with Judd, they kind of took me under their wing, and especially Gene, you know. Bruce Weber was his assistant, and was one of my better friends in the league, and I love Bruce and what he did at Illinois and Kansas State. I mean, he's a very good coach now. He's doing it on TV. But so there was other reasons that, you know, we kind of hung out. We recruited the same players. Hell, I recruited Matt, and you know, Matt was here and he flew from here to Bruce Weber picked him up, flew from here to Purdue. So there's a lot between them. It's been a good rivalry because we've both been good, and if they're both good, it is a true rivalry, and yet the respect goes back to probably Judd and Gene. You know, I'll never forget the day that Clem Haskins told me that he named his two ostriches on his farm, Judd and Gene. You know, and I guess that's a hell of a privilege.
Got time for a couple more?
Tom, you've been so successful in the second half. How important is it that you get off to a better start in Mackey? The three teams that have won there this year have done it right out of the chute.
Yeah, you know, there's that's what you do. You go back and you look at, well, how did this team beat him, and how did this team beat him? And some teams shot well, and sometimes they didn't shoot well. But getting off to a good start helps when you're on the road anytime. There's no question about that. How we do that, hopefully they came up with that in their team meeting. You know, I'm gonna put a little bit of pressure on the players instead of on the coach. But we all got to do our job. When you go on the road, that's the beauty of going on the road with a team, is it's usually 25 people against the world, and that's usually where you bond and you figure out things. And there, as you know, people are right on top of you. I mean, it's a great environment, you know, and I look at it as a privilege to play in places like that.
And Jeremy has been so good so often this year. How concerned are you that he focuses just on the game, not on anything individual with Braden? See who the best point guard is or player of the year or any of that stuff?
Yeah, you know, I don't see that. They're both very good players. I mean, Braden's got a couple years on Jeremy, and they're different players, you know. What I gotta make sure is that my guy does what he needs to do to help us win, just like I'm sure their guy will do it. But I don't think, because of what I said earlier, it's not quite the matchups that it used to be, because there's so much switching and changing and things like that. It's a little different. We're not making it a big deal. I bet you they're not either, because they do the same thing, you know. So my biggest concern really is, I mean, he's a concern because he makes so many other people better. But right now, their post players are playing damn good too. And you know, foul trouble that we got in last week, I mean, those are some of my concerns. It'll be the most physical game maybe you've seen in a while, I think. I think they're very physical in a good way too. So I don't know. I'm not worried about, I think Jeremy's growing. You know, there were things last game, you know, I think he's realizing and growing as he goes. I've talked to a couple of influential coaches around the country that I know, and you know, you think you got a problem or you've got a situation, but a lot of other people have had those and worked through them, and I kind of like the progress he's making now. You know, he's understanding that that he's a little bit of a marked man. He put himself in that position somewhat, and you got to work your way out of it. So, and I feel comfortable he's doing that.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Braden Smith too. He seems like one of those guys that if you're able to disrupt him a little bit, maybe disrupts Purdue's offense quite a bit. I'm wondering how you handle that, especially given what Jordan has done defensively the last few weeks and having him kind of lock in on Thornton a little bit, how much maybe that his defensive progression helps change what you guys are in this matchup.
Yeah, it helps change it. I think our defensive guy, Jeremy's got to be the guy that does it on a regular basis, but you don't cover Braden Smith with one. I mean, he is, like I said, he's fun to watch film on. I mean, he really is. He's got some shiftiness to him. Poor kid's only 170 pounds. I say poor kid, he's tearing everybody apart, but he's shooting it better. He's improved his 3-point shooting, I think, and he's gonna be guarded by a bunch of people. I mean, what we did a better job of last year, our bigs did some helping and did a better job on him collectively. I mean, he'll be a team effort because he's not only that way, but he's got a little nastiness to him for a skinny guy, and yet, you know, you better, as writers and as coaches, it's guys like that you wanna, you know, I'll pull for him when I'm done playing him, you know, because I think he's done a lot for our league. I think some of those guys that stand the test of time, we should all appreciate. Anything else?
Who's
Yes,
the best?
one more. Gotta be quick, guys, only because
Tom, you mentioned Cam
I
Ward.
learned more about gymnastics thanks to Fred than I.
You know how to keep score in gymnastics?
Yeah, it's a 10 is the best, and sometimes it's a little under
I
that.
like when you're down 3 and you get the field goal and you tie it up, I never know. Anyway.
You like when we're down 3 in this Grand Slam home run, you win by 1. Who you kidding? Go ahead.
Many times you mentioned you felt like Cam Ward had sort of a breakout in him. Obviously, the season's getting late. Do you still feel like that? And
Oh,
how
there was a
valuable
guy I had a meeting
could
with.
that be?
You know, I talked to Cam a long time last night. I think him and Jesse got to, you know, do more. I mean, Cam, I'll tell you a funny story is this summer, we were talking about rebounding, and Jackson Kohler last year got every rebound in practice every day, you know, but he was going against different people, and then all of a sudden Cam comes to town, and Jackson kind of didn't disappear, but disappeared compared to what he was doing the year before, and I'm reminded that to Cam last night, you know. I don't know, because I don't want to blame it on an injury, because I'm not good at that, but you know, he was really playing well up into the injury, and sometimes it could be just a time you miss, the time you come back and you don't get to be in live stuff. Sometimes it could be your confidence. Sometimes it could be you've never been injured and you don't know how to handle it. But, you know, he hasn't played with quite the same recklessness, and I think he needs to do that for us. And so, yeah, I think Cam Ward is very important in this next, hopefully, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, whatever it is. I think he's going to be very important. We learned the other day, you know, there could be foul trouble. You know, you get to the NCAA tournament, it seems like things get called tighter. So we're putting kind of a big emphasis on those two guys, and spent some time with them last night after my radio show.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
We're good.
Good.
Curiosity question.
Good.
We're good. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.